Welcome back, YouTube. So in today's video, we're going to do an update here and get a better look at some of the macro targets here as far as for even Dogecoin potentially hitting a dollar plus on its next leg up. So of course, first thing we're going to take a look here as at the kind of like a state of the market. And this is going to give you an idea of liquidity coming into the market, where we are now as far as for market cap, just under $3 trillion. So this is really good here. 2.98 trillion. I believe last time we capped out at around 3 or 4. So overall, this is, excuse me, I believe last time get that around a little over 3, if I'm not mistaken. And this is going to be a really good conditioning for the market. And one of the things that we talked about after the peak of the last cycle was that I believe that we're going to have almost kind of like a purge of a lot of those cryptos. Because those of you that were here in like 2020, 2021, you remember a lot of the coins, you remember a lot of the rug pulls, you remember a lot of the exchanges going broke. And it was just a lot of things surrounding that rise in that cycle and fall. And then we had to kind of do almost like a cleansing, right? We had a cleansing of a lot of the exchanges. And I believe we're going to see something similar to a lot of the cryptos here, because people are going to be chasing value this time more than hype. At least that's the sentiment, especially for the investors that you would consider seasoned, right? The ones that have been through a bull market, a bear market, and going back into a bull market. They may have a little more experience than the ones that have, that's just coming in right now, right? And that they're not necessarily chasing like the flash in the pan. So one thing I want to point out here, if you look at the fear greed index, you'll see that we are pretty much trending on the extreme greed side. And we saw something similar to this here. This isn't, I don't necessarily believe this is completely tied to price action, but I do believe it plays a part in people as far as taking profit. I do believe that if this can be overwritten, similar to a lot of the indicators, if you have a catalyst that's strong enough, then this thing could, even be down here or considered off the charts if there's an extreme catalyst right now. So right now it says like extreme greed. So technically speaking, you'd say, oh, okay, well, we're due for a pullback. And a lot of the indicators say that. And that's one of the things that we're going to talk about when we take a look at the chart. But overall, like if a strong enough catalyst came out right now, let's say Elon was like, hey, we're only going to use Dogecoin for payments on here. You can pay for your premium services, your monthly things. All that's going to be strictly in Dogecoin. Screw this extreme greed calendar. We're going to the heavens, and it's just going to be overridden at that point. But I do believe this kind of gives you an idea of the kind of things to kind of look for overall in the market right here. This extreme greed grid here, as far as it being 84 on a scale of 100. So overall, we're going to go down here and take a look at some of the most recent price action. You'll see that Bitcoin, 81 billion in volume in the last 24 hours. Ethereum, 32. Doge is still holding on the number 6 spot with 12.3 billion in volume in the last 24 hours. 86% up on the 7-day, down 6.73 on the 24 hours, but up 1.91% in the 1 hour. You'll see here slight trend here for the 24-hour. Even with Bitcoin barely hanging on here, but overall, you'll see up 17% in the last 7 days and up 1.22% on the 1 hour. So overall here, not a divergence here in price action. It's one of the things that we want to look at, to making sure that there is an allocation of capital going into these assets. Typically, they trend together. You'll have a lot of institutional money that will come in. They'll trend together in percentages. And then obviously retail will get excited about that, and they'll start pouring into some of these assets. And you'll have some slight divergences, but overall, you'll see that typically when like the big three are going to be, at least, well, I'll say the big two, but the big three here, Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Solana, you'll typically, if you'll see them green, you'll see the rest of the market green here. And this is one of the things I do believe, that we have Dogecoin is going to crack the top 5 and maybe even the top 3. I want to point this out to you while I notice it. So if you look here, you'll see Solana overall, not Solana, XRP is doing fairly well. I know some people are excited about XRP, but I want to point this out for Solana and BNB, right? if you look at the 24-hour volume, now again, this is buys and sells, so this isn't necessarily buying pressure, but I want to compare what you see here. You see a 5.9, a 2.5, and a 12.3, right? Now you can say, oh, well, most of that is, that could be selling pressure. Consider this, right? You'll see that over the last week, you can see the gains here, the 7-day percentages, 2.5% for BNB, 6.3 for Solana, and 87.23. Remember, the cheaper the coin is, it's a lot easier for it to double and grow. It takes a lot less capital to move it, right? In order to get this, Dogecoin is nearing 100% return in the last week. In order for Solana to do that, this would have to be almost $400. This would BNB would have to be like $1,200 almost, right? If we're talking about 100% returns. Dogecoin, even if it did 100% return from where we are right now, not even the last 7 days, it would still roughly be around where it was for its peak. So its numbers is technically already hit before. These would technically be all-time highs. So we have to just kind of keep that in mind here, that this is price plays a big part when we're talking about projections. So I want to point that out. Overall, again, as far as the price action, I believe everything is going absolutely fine. We're going to take a look here at some charting here and talk about this $1, right? First thing I want to point out is that we were talking about building out a floor here. I like what I see. I like this price action right here. Again, this is, if we can build out something, so let's say like this, I would be happy with that, right? This would put us at around 35 cents as a floor. I absolutely love this here. It's at the cusp of a gap zone, typically between 35 and 45. You'll see we get these runs. If we're able to kind of build out a floor here, this will be absolutely fantastic. You'll see here as well, we closed here. We got a rejection here yesterday, but we ended up closing a little higher, and it looks like we're rejecting off it again today. So depending on where this candle closes, we're going to have around 4. Even we closed here on the 11th, right? We closed here on the 11th and the 12th. Rejected from here on the 13th, the 14th, and may also be here again today for the 15th. I'm liking what I see. So this can prove to be, especially with these multiple touches in this range, this can prove to be an absolutely phenomenal zone to pretty much set us up for the launch of the next leg. I remember what some of the things that we're talking about, in addition to this golden cross here between the 72 and the 200, was the higher this floor is built out, where we gather that support and have that meeting between buyers and sellers, the easier it is to hit some of those higher targets, because you're not necessarily having to reach down so low to grab liquidity. It's a lot easier to rally to a new all-time high if you have a floor here at 35 cents, 40 cents, something like that, versus having to dip down to around 20 cent or 14 cent, similar to some of the levels that we were seeing before, right? Because when we were doing these retests, even before we would set the all-time high, we were, we went from around 40 cents down to around 13, 14 cents, right? So we're talking about over 100% cuts, right? So this is really exciting here that puts us in position here to go retest this all-time high. And even if you're looking at percentages, and the fact that when we had the 72 cross the 200 here back in 2021, we never saw it again until, what was this here? We saw this cross in January. We didn't see it again on the downside until September, right? But that gave a signal for what was to come. And I believe this is similar as well. We got the 14 crossing the 200, the 72 again is a much stronger indicator. So I'm excited about that crossing the 200. And this kind of gave us the trajectories for what we're going to see as far as for different legs in the market and where they took us, right? So if we're charting anything similar to some of the things that we've seen before, it's going to make it easier to hit these all-time highs and even go to that $1 range. I think that the floor, the stage is being set for Doge to officially, because I know in the community, we've already kind of transitioned it out of the meme coin phase. But I think that when we start seeing Doge and these things being brought up with like government agencies and kind of being built and intertwined in, this is the part where the masses, whether you're a Dogecoin supporter or not, this is the part where that transition starts to take place, and it kind of transitions from meme to a serious coin here. And this is necessarily saying it's not necessarily pegged to. In particular, I do believe Elon is laying a foundation for the coin, but that way it's not necessarily pegged to what they would call hype or a lot of the things that were associated with what was going on in 2021. I did say that a few years ago, this is one of the things that was going to separate kind of like the men from the boys when it comes to crypto, was going to be, okay, yes, you had a run in 2021. What are you going to bring on this next cycle? Is there going to be growth for the coin? Is there going to be a vision for the coin? Is there going to be leadership? Is the community going to stand behind the coin? All of these things are taking place. And I'm really excited for that, because this is opening up that window for Doge to probably even surpass some of the projections that we've been given here. I believe that even especially if we have this floor here around 35 cents, and we have the stage is being set for us to move onto bigger things here. And I believe that the utility is still coming as well. I think that we are in great position here to challenge, if not hit $1, to challenge the all-time high here on our next leg up. And I think this is going to be really big here for the coins. It was really pending on when we would get a consolidation or a cool down period. It's one of the things we've been talking about here for weeks, because you guys know, for those of you who've been following my channel for a while, I'm really big on building these floors out as part of a healthy run, and I'm a huge advocate for it. Even when everyone else is still cheering for green, I'm a huge advocate for this, and I'm excited for this as well. And this is really great. I think this happens at a great place. I think this is a foundational moment for us challenging our all-time high and going to that $1 range. I think that this is going to, it's not necessarily a Dogecoin specific category, but I do believe that we're going to be able to kind of gauge this around the time Bitcoin goes into six figures, which I do believe is going to happen. So I think this is going to be a phenomenal run here, and kind of like a launching pad. I think from here, before we get to that $1 range, we'll launch to somewhere between, I believe it's around 53 cents. We'll start to see some more extreme volatility, but that is a huge gap zone, right? Even from here, 58 to 75, 76 cents. We start getting into big gap zones like the one we talked about earlier, that 35 to 45, that 10 cents, and we filled it like very quickly. These gap zones get bigger and bigger as we go toward that all-time high. So that's one of the things that it's not necessarily like, oh, where's the capital going to come from? Typically, the market is running in those zones. And I believe the same way we saw the similar price action to something we saw for a few years ago between 35 and 45, I believe that price action is going to be mirrored at these higher levels as well, between 45 and 75, 76. I think that we can also, so I want to put this out there, you may see some slight panic as we get closer to the all-time high. Because typically they'll say, oh, you'll have especially people that's been here before. They're like, okay, I'm not going to miss it this time. So you may have some profit taking here. Again, that's completely normal. Same thing with around $1, typically between like 90 cents to $1. You're going to see some panic there. Even with Bitcoin, that's one of the things that you see happening now. Those round numbers, the psychology behind it, people typically start to take profit. And you'll see that one of the bigger things here with Bitcoin is going to be, hey, we're at around that 90,000 mark, 93,000. It's a peak. And you'll start to see as we get closer to 100, they'll say, oh my God, it's going to be a big sell-off once we get to 100. I better take profit now. Same thing is going to happen with Doge. Oh my God, the dollar, it's going to be a huge sell-off. I better sell now. And you'll start to see like that tickering around those prices. I expect that around the previous all-time high. Same thing with what happened with Bitcoin. I believe it was around like 60,000. 60, I believe somewhere around 60,000. It took over 20 something touches around that mark before it finally broke through, just because the sell orders would come in at such a strong rate. This is prior to the election, by the way, but if the sell orders would come in at such a rate, it would trigger panic and panic selling, and the pools of liquidity would shift and it would be a sell-off. So again, it's not the end of the world. The catalysts are there. The stage has been set. That's for people who even believed in for Bitcoin. They knew that this would happen, so they just used that opportunity to increase their positions. I believe that as well for these coins here. I believe that the catalysts are coming in steadily for Dogecoin. The stage is being set, so I think that we are in great position to go and challenge that all-time high, and you go even higher, and we open up those discussions about $1 or so. So this is something we're going to be monitoring, obviously, to keep you guys informed on. We're going to check out this zone here as we build out this floor. Obviously, because even if right now, if we took off, this would be a weak, supply zone, but or even depending on which side you're on, supply or demand, depending on where the price action is moving. So we honestly, we'd want a few more days to kind of build this out, because when we start talking about some of those higher numbers and volatility, we want, not saying it has to be this much, but even if it was, for me, I'd say something maybe like this, you want there to be a strong floor here, because you want there to be a meeting of the minds that if we go and retest 53 cents, 58 cents, and then or Bitcoin's selling off from like 105 or something like that, you don't want the support at 60,000 if Bitcoin is at 100. It's a $40,000 drop. Same thing here. You want a $90,000, $95,000 support, so that you're able to go there, grab liquidity, and then go run retest. So this is what I want here. I want a strong floor for Doge somewhere here. And if we set another one even higher, that's even better. But even so, I would like for a strong floor to be here. Just in case if we're running to go do 53 cents, something like that, and a whale sells off, okay, where's the liquidity going to come from? Boom, we have a floor right here. This gives us an opportunity to bounce back from here versus some of these lower levels. So that's ultimately what I'm looking for. Let me know you guys' thoughts. For those, especially for those of you that do your charting, let me know your thoughts on that in the comment section. If you have not, especially all the new guys, I appreciate you guys subscribing to the channel, sharing the videos. I appreciate that. I see that we've been growing. I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for all of you. Please continue to share the video. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. Like the video, and I will see you guys in the next one.